You're looking at it, you think, did Lyngdon Dykes do that? You're looking at it, well, we could see it, couldn't we, just about, because it was still quite a little foggy. We did see it. And fair play to him, because, strikers need goals, need confidence. And to do that was absolutely, I'm really pleased for him.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Saturday, Birmingham City beat Lincoln City 2-1 to progress to the fourth round of the FA Cup. Now, it was cold, it was foggy, and it wasn't the most glorious game of football, but I think it's safe to say that Blues got in there and got the job done, which is what it's all about. And I was going to lead the question first, as I had to say, who do you want in the fourth round? But we've actually just watched the draw live, and we've just drawn Newcastle United at home. So, Dad, straight off the press, let's get your reaction. Birmingham City versus Newcastle United. What are your thoughts?
I'm really pleased. I wanted a big Premier League club. They're a big Premier League club. We got them at home. I would have liked them away either way, because obviously we would have gone to go to Newcastle. But it's good at home because it means more Blues fans will get to see the game. I think it's a cracking draw. I really wanted a really decent Premier League team, and I think it's brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Blues fans have said, haven't they? Like, they want a challenge to gauge where we are now. Can't compare with Newcastle at home, can you?
This will be a real challenge.
Yeah,
and do you know what would be nice as well? It'd be nice to go into a game, probably for the first time this season, as underdogs.
Yeah.
We've been the favourites in every single game, so we are in the position of our opposition usually. Nothing to lose. I think, obviously, when we get to that game, we will discuss what the team selection will be, but I suspect we'll see a lot more regular first-choice players in that team for that game, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. But, yeah, as things stand today, really pleased with the draw, and I suppose the victory against Lincoln gave us the opportunity to have this game as well.
Hopefully, two things on my mind, Dad. Hopefully, we get a good ref, because hopefully it won't be from the League One pool. And two, Newcastle won't park the bus, will they? So they'll actually be coming at us a bit. So it could open the game up a little bit more. So I think it's going to be a really interesting challenge. I mean, in terms of to gauge where we are, I think I'd like the Championship team. But in terms of the spectacle now, having Newcastle at Birmingham City, it's going to be great.
We'll be massive underdogs for this game, which will be brilliant for us for the first time, because this is obviously not a position we're usually in this season. So, I couldn't have asked for a really better. I know a lot of people wanted like the Villas and the other teams like that. But, I'm happy with this one. I'm happy with this one. And,
I really wanted either Everton or away, because obviously it's going to be the last time to go to Goodison, or maybe Wolves were on my mind as well. But I'll take Newcastle. But let's get into the Lincoln City game.
Like you say, Matt, it was a really, really cold day, wasn't it? It's a good attendance as well. I mean, 17,000 for a FA Cup game. And with respect, they were Lincoln. As much as I like Lincoln, everybody knows from obviously when we played them how much I enjoyed when we went there, Lincoln City. But they're not like a top Premier League team. Although they did sell, I'd probably guess there's about 2,000.
I was impressed actually with the allocation and what they sold, because an FA Cup game, they're gonna play us in a couple of months' time at home, so not bad.
Decent fans, they were decent when we went down to their place, and but like I say, it was foggy again, wasn't it? And as me, you, and we took our daughter to this game as well. My daughter, not our daughter, my daughter. And on the way, we walked into town into Digbeth to get something to eat, and we were saying this game could be called off because the fog was that dense, wasn't it? And it wasn't really improving too much coming to the game, but as it happened, when we got into the ground, it was still very foggy.
So to put it into context, we were by Wagamama's and by Nando's, and you could barely see the market stalls, could you?
Yeah.
It really was that foggy, and we were walking to the ground going, this could genuinely have a chance of getting called off. And then it lifted a bit, and then in the second half, it really came back out again, didn't it? But thankfully, we got through, and we won the game. And as I said in my intro, that it wasn't a glorious game of football, was it? But we got the job done.
Well, the team selection is always going to be interested in an FA Cup or in an EFL trophy, because obviously I think Chris Davies has to consider rotation, keeping players fresh, not risking injuries. But we had a lot of the players that we predicted in our preview video played. But Alphonse Samsted was in the team, which we didn't consider in the preview because we hadn't realised. We thought he was still injured, but actually he hasn't been injured for a few weeks. He just hasn't been picked in the squad. He started at centre half, which was interesting, alongside Clara, which was a surprise. But I think that was on the basis the day before Dion Sanderson had joined Blackburn Rovers on loan for the rest of the season. So I predicted Sanderson would be in the starting line. I'm not knowing about that. Yeah. And clearly Clara surprised me when he was in the team, but it shows you that we seem to be light in that area now. And Chris Davies said that we will be looking for a direct replacement for Sanderson in this January window. Yeah. Now, whether that's the rumoured Phil Newman saga that seems to be dragging on and on and on, or whether it be somebody else, because the rumours are that Phil Newman has signed a pre-contract agreement, but he won't be joining us to the summer. Yeah. I don't know if that's. I'm only saying that based upon what I'm reading. I don't know if that is 100% correct. Let me make that clear. Or if that was the case, does it now open the door for him to come early? But if he comes early, we'd have to pay a fee, because he would be a free transfer at the end of the season, wouldn't he? So it's a bit of a balance there in terms of what the club. But the club are going to be looking to replace Dale Sanderson, which we clearly need to do.
There's no other podcast this week, Dad, which would address this. I just want to say, good luck, Dion. You know, good player. He did do well under Eustace, didn't he, when he was with us then? So I do wish Dion all the best, and I hope he can. I don't want to say revigorate, but find the form he once had at Blues. Just to put that out there.
Yeah, I put a tweet on our X page. It's still called a tweet, whatever it is, but an X on our X page. And wish Dion well, and I know that he's had his ups and downs at the club, but I've always felt that he's a solid defender. He does lack a bit of pace and he's prone to mistakes, but when he's on his game, if he can be more consistent, he's a really, really decent player. His diagonals are really, really good, and he has got a little bit of strength about him as well. So he does go with our best wishes.
Absolutely.
From the channel, I'm sure most other Blues fans will wish him well, and on his new adventure. But back to the starting lineup. So Samstead started at centre half alongside Clara, and we had a central midfield partnership of Leonard and Harris. He played Harris in the middle. Taylor Gardner-Hickman was at right back. Cochrane was left, wasn't it? Yokoyama started on the left, and then Scott Wright was the right hand winger. Really, really pleased to see him in the team. And we had Dykes, which I couldn't figure out whether we were playing a 4-4-2 with Dykes and Yuki, or whether sometimes Dykes looked a little bit deeper, like he was playing more of a number 10. But that was the team, Blues fans, if you didn't see. So there were a few changes in there. We had quite a strong bench, as you could imagine. And we started really well, didn't we?
Yeah. The game got off to a fly, didn't it? And what I was really happy with, Dad, was the impact from the wings immediately. You know, the ball got dinked over to Scott Wright, his pace got past his man, and then dinked it to the back post for Yokoyama, and really tidy finish. He cut in and put it past the keeper. And it just settles the nerves, doesn't it, when you can get a goal like that? And actually, in the reverse fixture, it was them against us when they got that goal within 30 seconds or a minute or whatever it was. So that was really good, because we always talk about wing play, don't we, this season, about the importance of it and how Keshi Anderson has had so much impact on the right. But recently, we haven't had as much impact due to injuries, due to little bits of rotation, whatever it might be. But to see Scott Wright and Yokoyama having that impact that quickly was really, really good. And that continued, didn't it? We started to stretch them quite well. I thought Yokoyama had a really good sort of 15, 20 minutes. Arguably first half, to be fair. We can come back onto Yokoyama in a minute, because there are some things about his game which I think we could definitely highlight for improvements. Scott Wright again was dangerous, but you got to remember, this was our second team pretty much, and the spine was completely changed. So
I'm sort of reluctant to use that term, to be honest, Matt. Second team. It's more. It's a squad, because any of those players really, or the vast majority of those, would fit into any first team.
But they're not our regular starters, are they?
No, you're right. The point you make is absolutely right. It wasn't our regular starters, but we have got a squad, and that's what Chris Davis refers to. A second team is real, I suppose, players that are never picked. Some of these players are picked in and out occasionally. I mean, for example, you could argue that Scott Wright is going to be a first choice. It's just that he's been dogged by injury, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think that it shows you the strength in depth that we've got for the squad, and to be able to put a team out like that and play like that and actually rest. I mean, there was no Bielek wasn't in the team. I think he had a niggle which weren't going to be. He wasn't going to risk him. Same with Jay Stansfield. Alfie May was on the bench, didn't get on. Ben Davis was on the bench, didn't get on. Allsop was on the bench, didn't get on. So, you're talking 5 players that I've just off the top of my head that would be in our starting lineup, which didn't even either weren't there or didn't play at all. But yet we still won that game 2-1. I think the first half we were absolutely excellent in terms of controlling the game. They were clearly had a game plan, and their game plan was to lump the ball and
disrupt physicality. You could tell they were going to come out and lump us.
Your old mate, Paddy O'Connor, he put himself about again, didn't he?
I warned you, Blues fans. This Paddy O'Connor guy, I like him. I like defenders who get stuck in and amongst it. I mean, I can't exactly argue. I didn't really see the alleged stamp or anything on Yuki, so I can't really comment on it, but he's naughty. But that's what he does. Yep. And what I really liked about it, Dad, Paddy O'Connor and Yuki were having this back and forth all game. His arms were over him, they were battling, they were fighting. And when Yuki got subbed off, they went and shook hands, as if to say, good battle.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I thought, just a sign of respect between two physical players.
That's like it's a men's game, It's a men's league, it's a men's game, and that's what two players who've had a battle do. think, okay, you might have beat me up, I might have beaten you up, but that was a good battle.
We shake hands and we go our separate ways.
I love that. I love that. I mean, that's not enough of that in football for me. It's all like rolling around like you're being shot and just faking injury, and I hate that type of stuff.
But Paddy O'Connor and Yuki are quite old school players. They'll get their elbows in the air. They're physical. They win their aerial battles. So I thought that was a really good battle for one, and two, I really like that sign of respect between each other at the end.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I saw that.
Coming back to that point, Dad, they had a game plan, didn't they? They wanted to be physical. They wanted to lump it long. And we've seen it all year long in League One, haven't we? This kind of style of football. But I thought we held our composure really well. In the first half, I thought we were dangerous. We went at them. They didn't really cause us too much problems. They had a few chances, which every team's going to have in a few games.
Before you go any further, I want to stop you on that point because that's a good one. Is that you've got to realise that every team at every level is going to have a go. Now, today, before we came to the podcast today, I watched Tamworth versus Spurs, right? And Tamworth had chances, and really good chances as well. I watched as well a little bit of Bromley versus Newcastle versus Bromley. Bromley were 1-0 up, and they should have been 2-0 up. So every team at every level, no matter who you're playing, are always going to have opportunities in the game. And the point you're making is a really valid one because what we can't expect is because we are top of League One and we're playing a League One team, and we're just going to roll over them. Every team is going to have chances. We will have chances against Newcastle, probably less than we're used to.
Yeah.
But we will have chances against Newcastle, and we've got to take those chances. So I think the point is key. What you said, we marshalled and managed that game very well, particularly those times when they did lump the ball over, like you were saying, and we. Our defence was strong enough. I felt obviously we had players playing out of position. Don't forget,
we did. Yeah,
I mean Alphonse Samson Samstead playing as centre half. We know that he can do that because when he joined us, we'd done some research and he's been played in that position a few times before. But he's naturally a right back.
Yeah,
that's his natural position. Even actually, we'll come into the second half just in a moment. But Laird came on as centre half, didn't he?
Yeah.
So we
and Taylor Garden-Hitman then got shoved back into midfield.
Yes.
So there was a bit of rotation, players out of position. Just coming on to that, I mean, I love Taylor Garden-Hitman. Wherever he plays, he looks like he's been playing that position for years. He's just fantastic. We have to get him on a permanent.
I agree with you as well. But if I'm honest, in that game, in the Lincoln game, I don't think he had his best game. I totally think we should sign him. He's a versatile player. But I think he gave the ball away in that game a little bit too much for me. But what really sort of brought him back was like you said, his aggression. He was
I thought he played all right. You're right. He gave the ball away a few times, but not a bad game. I mean, if I'm being honest, a lot of people picked Dykes for man of the match on this game because he was just an animal, weren't he? Defensively, attacking.
He weren't man of the match for me.
He weren't. No, and me neither. But I can see why people did, and we'll come on to that world he scored in a couple of minutes, I'm sure. But for me, it's Clara.
Oh, he's a brick wall, isn't he?
Absolutely. He just dominated, didn't he? I mean, no one ever gets past him.
Like I said, I was surprised to see him in the starting lineup anyway. I thought if anyone could do the rest, he could. But nothing seems to faze him.
Yeah.
He's really solid. He doesn't mess around. And like you say, I think he's absolutely outstanding.
And another player, Dad, who I think had a really good first half, especially with the crossing, Alex Cochrane. The balls he was getting into the box, his delivery.
That one cross for Yuki. Oh, that ball. Honestly, if that header would have hit that net, that would have took the net into the team. Did you see how? To be fair to the goalkeeper, it was a good save. Zach Geacock, he's our ex-player, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was a great save. But my word, I mean, that was some cross. It was the same cross he did for Stansfield against Wrexham.
But that's what a cross should be. It should have pace. It should go onto the striker's head. So all the striker's got to do is redirect it, and the pace follows through with the head. So the delivery from Cochrane was just as important as the header from you.
Yeah, it has to have pace because there's no point in looping balls in. Because if you loop a ball in, it's got no pace, and that means that it's expecting whoever's coming to header it has got to use all their neck muscles to try and get any force on the ball. But this came in at pace, and Yuki could not have connected with it any better. And to be fair play to the goalkeeper, that was a good save. But what a great again, shows you what Alex Cochrane can do, doesn't it?
I think he's fantastic. We've always raved about Alex Cochrane, haven't we, Dad? He's a great player, and there was a lot of that in the first half. Balls in the box, down the wing. I mean, Yokoyama for the first 10 minutes had that right back on strings. He didn't know whether he was coming or going, and again, he did kind of run out of a little bit of steam on that right, and he kind of a bit of loose control, gave the ball away a few times. But we started that game really strongly. The first half was really strong. Balls in the box, good width play. We held on to possession quite nicely. We held our composure. And I think Chris Davies gave them a slightly different instruction this game. Normally we're the team that has all the possession, has all the chances. I think he said to them, expect a physical battle and keep your shape. And we rose to the challenge, I think. We battled them, we fought hard. And the first half was really good. But the second half, I think we lost that composure a bit.
Just a few points on the first
Yeah,
half.
yeah, yeah,
Just a couple before we move on. Is that Scott Wright had a chance as well, which he was on the corner of the box and he just literally so he shot it across the goal and it just went wide of the left post. That was a good chance as well. And Yokoyama, I turned around to you and to Joe and said that look, they've doubled up on him. So after the first 10 minutes, they put 2 players on him.
Yeah.
Chris Davies said about Yokoyama, he said he's probably a one-to-one specialist because he can go left or right, which he can. But the issue we have with Yokoyama is that, and the reason he doesn't start is because he's really good at that. He's really good when he's one-on-one. But the problem is he does lose the ball a lot, which I suppose you will in that type as that type of player.
Yeah.
But I think that's why Chris Davies is not convinced to give him a regular starting lineup because he needs to continue developing to do more of the other parts of his game.
There's 2 things on Yokoyama for me, Dad. And by the way, I love Yokoyama. We've raved about him on the podcast. I think he has a very bright future. And I think this season, impact sub will be his thing. But I think his feet moves faster than the signal that his brain's telling him. And sometimes he gets a little bit muddled up, doesn't he? Like he had a couple of touches that went out of play. He had a couple of passes astray. He kind of went to go around his man, but he shinned it. It's almost like his feet are moving too fast for his brain to process a little bit. And he's so right foot dominant. Like he can't really use his left foot very well. So every time he goes out wide, he's not a byline kind of winger. He cuts in every single time. And that right back got used to Yokoyama kind of cutting in. And don't get me wrong, he's a dangerous player. He gives us something different. He's dynamic. He's fast. He goes round players. Big fan. I don't think he's ready to start in this team.
I think he's an impact sub.
Yeah.
I think he will be. I mean, when he starts to mature and starts to develop his other parts of his game, he's going to be a top player.
He will.
But it's good to have him. Glad we've got him in the team, in the squad. Glad that that he got the start here. But I think that his starts in the league are going to be few and far between, in my opinion.
Yeah.
First half we had 69% possession, but then it shows you overall we only have 52. So it shows you what a good second half that Lincoln had.
Yeah.
They came out much more aggressive in the first 15-20 minutes in the second half. Had a couple of chances. I mean, there's a few chances. I think Abali Kadamatri had one that he volleyed it and it just went wide of the post. So they had a couple of chances. But then it's the FA Cup, isn't it? And it's not like league where you think, okay, away point might be all right. It's the FA Cup. If you don't win that game, there's no replays, you're out. So
Exactly.
they had to come at us, and I think you're right. I think maybe Chris Davies' instructions at half time were, okay, let's we're winning the game, we're solid, let's keep solid, and we know that they're going to come at us, and they did. And they got some decent players. They play some decent football at times as well. But they did on occasion, which was more predictable. They played the long ball.
Yeah.
And the only way we were going to get caught out is if we made a mistake at the back. Because really, they had it on corners maybe.
To be honest, Dad, it was a game of 2 halves in terms of we controlled the first half. I think we were dominant, if I'm going to be brutally honest. They had a couple of chances. Second half, Lincoln were the better side. Like they had more possession. They probably had more like half chances. I didn't feel like at any point during that second half we were in danger or we were in trouble or they were suddenly going to score 2 or 3 goals. It took something like a bad penalty decision for them to get even a half chance in the game for that 4 minutes at the end. But I don't think, if I'm honest, they were a massive threat.
It's always the jeopardy, though. We've seen this in the league, when we're only got a narrow lead, isn't it? You defended a narrow lead. We scored in 35 seconds. It was 1-0 up until Lyndon Dykes scored. That fantastic goal. It was a good goal. And let's talk about that because we have to give him credit because there's various stages to what he did. Firstly, he controlled the ball on his chest.
That was my favourite bit. That chest control was sensational.
And and then he dinked it over the defender, and then he didn't actually rattle his foot through it for the volley. He directed it into where it was going out of the reach of the goalkeeper, and You're looking at it. You think, did Lyndon Dykes do that? You're looking. Well, we could see it, couldn't we? Just about because it was still quite a little foggy. We did see it, and fair play to him because strikers need goals, need confidence, and to do that was absolutely. I'm really pleased for him.
Yeah, I mean Dykes or Zlatan Ibrahimovic, that was something out of his playbook, weren't it? And for me, the chest was key because he was kind of on an awkward turn when he took that ball down on his chest. I thought that because obviously if he doesn't do that, the whole move just dies. So when he did that and turned, absolutely sensational. I mean, technically here, that's probably the best Blues goal I've seen for a long time. That's in front of us at St.Andrews. I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
That's going to be one of the contenders for the Blues goal of the season.
Yeah, and what I loved about that even more, Dad, was when I in the car on the way home, we checked the Blues social media channels. They put that clip from Jurassic Park up. That woman when she sees the dinosaur for the first time and she's like, It is a white strike.
Yeah, I saw that reaction to Lyndon's goal. That was quite funny. But and fair play to him as well because he works hard, and we've said it before. I'm not going to repeat this, but the system that we play don't really suit his style of play. He's more if he's a target man, he needs more balls like that high ball to do something with. But fair play to him. That put us 2-0 up, and we were cruising until. The penalty. Oh, you've had a look at the penalty now. Obviously, it was right in front of us in the Tilton, but it was quick, and I had a look at it. So, what's your thoughts on whether it was a penalty or not?
Soft again. I thought it was really soft. I mean, Alfie Chang did himself no favours.
He dived in, didn't he?
He went in early.
Yeah.
He left his foot hanging. So when a player then comes at you and jumps over, it can look like a penalty, can't it? Because he did himself no favours.
Yeah.
But if you look at it back and look at the stages of it, for me, no penalty.
I think the referee, has an instant to make that decision. And if in our minds, when we've seen it a few times, we're thinking, it's a soft penalty, then the referee's not wrong, is he really? Because if we're saying it was a penalty, it's a soft penalty. The referee's given it at the spur of the moment. I've looked at it a few times, and it looks worse than it actually is because of the way Chang goes and challenges.
I disagree on that. If it's soft, you shouldn't. If you're in any reasonable doubt, soft to me is reasonable doubt. You should never give it. You have to be 110 as a referee. 110% certain.
In the FA Cup and in our league, we haven't got the benefit of VAR. So
I wouldn't want it anyway.
The referee has made that decision. I obviously don't think it was a penalty, but it was given.
You do see him given, don't you? When a player goes in a little bit early like that and leaves his foot hanging, you see him given.
Yeah.
So Alfie Chang didn't do himself any favours. Yeah. But it was a soft penalty.
Yeah, you don't do that.
No, you don't.
You want to put your body in front of the ball, but you don't lunge at the ball like that. So I think it's maybe a little bit of an experience from Alfie Chang.
Match practice, he's rusty, isn't he?
Yeah. But anyway, he gave the penalty, and I thought that Bailey Peacock Farrell was unlucky. He got down to the right side, and he literally just his hand almost touched the ball, but it just wasn't strong enough just to put it past the post. So that made it 2-1. It was a bit of a nervy few last minutes, I suppose, because they did come forward. They had that corner right at the end, which they actually won the header, and the ball just went over the bar, so they had the chance to equalise as well, which would have been a real wound, because then that would have been extra time and possible penalties as well. So overall, it was a good win, a good performance. It was good to get an early goal. It's nice to see Zaid Biteka get a start as well, wasn't it? Well, it wasn't a start. It was a cameo appearance. He came on around about 86, didn't he?
I like him.
But I think what's important, he looked all right,
didn't he? He's fast, isn't he? Yeah. What I liked about him, Daddy, is he's not scared to go round a player or two, but he does the dirty, aggressive defending as well. He has a good balance to his game. It reminds
me of when Ramel Donovan made his debut. Yeah. He came on, he was like he's from the academy, he's running around, and it gives academy players a bit of an incentive, doesn't it? So, well, look, if he's managed to get a first team appearance, we can do that as well. So I think it was really good, and fair play to him. And obviously, I saw his interview afterwards. He was really happy. His family were there. Seems like a really nice lad as well, and obviously that will give him a lot of confidence for his career. I think that overall, this was all about winning. Yeah. It was all about winning, getting to the next round. We did that. From far as I'm aware, we haven't picked up any injuries, which is again a big tick. And now we've got the Newcastle game, which is the next round, and again that'll take another league game out the calendar. I think it might be Peterborough away. That's the weekend of the FA Cup fourth round, so it's likely that's going to be rescheduled as well. Yeah. So, but all in all, we've progressed to the next round. It's going to be a lot of good revenue for the club as well. I mean, Newcastle at home is a good draw, so that will generate some fairly decent revenue for the club as well. Yeah. And just see what we do. But good result.
The way I'd describe it, Dad, is job done. We got in there, we got the job done, and we progressed to the fourth round. Now we know against Newcastle United, which I'm sure is going to be a cracking game. I'm sure Knighthead and the team and the PR people are going to buzz this up and make it a real spectacle. A bit like the Wrexham home game, maybe, have that kind of spectacle around it. So I'm looking forward to it, so it should be good.
I hope the FA don't mess it up or whatever the schedules for TV, because, you can get some really funny kick-off times, can't you?
Friday evenings.
And also, as well, bear in mind, if anybody does listen who schedules these as well, there's Newcastle fans, they travel a long way. So be sensible. Make it a sensible time for
Saturday,
them.
3 o'clock.
Yeah,
Don't deviate.
I got a feeling this won't be Saturday at
I
3
got a
o'clock.
feeling you're right.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
well done, Blues. Good win and into the next round.
Yep.
Newcastle United, bring them on.
We move on. Let's do it. So, as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Oh, sorry, and Lincoln City supporters, maybe you watched the pre-video, maybe you've just tuned in. Please let us know a comment in the section below about your team's performance and your thoughts as well. We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell notification so you get notified every time we post. And we're also on various other social networkings now as well. So we're on X and we're on Instagram as well. So myself and Dad will see you here on the next video, all about Birmingham City.